watching all the world go by now, underneath the hazy sky now. Got my ticket for the long ride. Yeah, from my park bench perspective, got that wide-eyed view on life. My park bench perspective, helping me to win the fight.
What's happening, Mike Hammer?
Hello, Carlos Figueroa. Everything and nothing, depending on your perspective, is happening.
Excellent. So I'm going to give you the standard Minnesota greeting and say, is it hot enough for you?
Oh, you betcha. It's not the heat.
It's the
humidity. It's the humidity.
It really is, man.
But all our plants
more than 5 seconds before my glasses frost up.
But the plants look good, eh?
Oh yeah. I've not been out. You just drove across America. Is the grass going to be knee high by tomorrow?
Or the corn? That saying went out with. Let's say, when's the last time the corn wasn't at your waist on the 4th of July? Because
I don't know, dude. Yeah. I follow baseball more than I do the Farmer's Almanac, so I really don't know. Listen. When it comes to rural food, where our food comes from, stuff. Yeah, knee high by the 4th of July is pretty much the only agricultural line I got. So that's it. I got nothing else.
I think when I lived in Somerset, it wasn't long before I was driving in it, and even over here in Woodbury.
Yeah.
Mike from Woodbury here. I don't gotta go far, and there's corn, and yeah, it's already past your waist. But I'm gonna say it's probably not nature's way of doing it. It's humankind's way of getting it up and high. And
I got a little trivia for you here, Mike Hammer. You call it corn. Mm-hmm. We call it maize.
Who's we? You and your...
Oh, no, that was actually my people, because what's funny is that commercial. There was the commercial for...
Yeah.
It was a margarine or a butter, maize, they called it.
Yeah.
Which is actually... It's a Spanish word, and it's maize.
Yeah. Maize.
But, I remember that commercial. See, that's all I got on food, but we were going to talk today about concerts.
Oh, we're going to do that. Concerts.
Sometimes concerts can be hazardous to your health.
Yes, they can be very. There's an aspect of things that go along with going to a concert that can create a little bit of danger.
That's true, but I'm going to start off with the first story, because this one does not involve any chemicals whatsoever. It involves physics and the importance of hydration.
Yes.
This was in the late 90s. You and I attended a show at Canterbury proper, right there on the infield of the horse racing track. We saw Bob Dylan and Paul Simon.
Yes, we did.
It was a very hot day. I'm going to say June or July, August, something like that. I think I had a beer and a lot of time out in the sun.
Yes. Paul came on first.
Yep.
And it was sunny out and it was nice. And I don't know, he wasn't as big a draw as Bob, and he was the early one.
Yeah.
But I remember we walked around it, and it was like an infield. So it was like going from third base.
It was festival. It was all festival. So you're not going to call it seating because no one was sitting.
Yeah. We were walking around it, and then we got up close because there was a lot of people there.
And also because that's the Mike Hammer system. When you attend an event with Mike Hammer, part of the festivities are going to be trying to upgrade your seating or a standing place throughout the evening. So we were like center. I could feel the bass from the speakers hitting my chest.
We got that close.
Yeah. We were in the middle of a lot of people. And then Carlos.
We did meet up. We did meet up with somebody that
yes.
And we shared something.
We shared a peace pipe, I believe, among friends.
And then you were like, I'm hot and I need some water. And we turned around. And when we walked up, there was like nobody behind us.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we were snaking our way through the car. Yeah. We were just kind of walking, and we were close. And it was towards the end of
people. We were not shoulder to shoulder, but there were a lot of people.
But when we turned around to go get a break, all of a sudden there was at least 100 deep behind us, shoulder to shoulder. And it was not easy out like it was easy in. It was navigating. Excuse me, pardon me.
Yeah.
And you took off, and it was the kind of the bull in the china closet, but it was more. You were bumping into people, and I was behind you going, "He's sorry, excuse us, he's sorry." The aftermath of it all, And we kept going, and it was like we couldn't believe how many people were there.
Yeah.
So then we get out, and this is what I remember. We get out where it's less people, and there was one of those winter fences, the brown, not very stable winter
parallel
fences.
with the stage, kind of to the left of the stage, and then to the other side of the fences, there's like
you guys are going for the
security people. Yeah,
you start going to the fence, and I'm like, that's not a very sturdy fence.
Yeah.
He's going to lean on it,
Yeah.
and it might go over. So all of a sudden, you got there, and you're grabbing it, and I'm like, oh, it's pretty sturdy. And all of a sudden, some people that look like the progressive people or something that come from the commercial, all in white, with little white cross, red crosses on their front and back.
Yeah.
They go, "Do you need help?" I go,
Yes.
"I don't,
Right.
but I think he does." And they're like, would you like us to take him? And I'm like, sure.
Sure.
And they're like, and then I'm like,
is this a permanent thing?
that's what also I started thinking, because that's what you do kind of after that, do pipe stuff. And I'm like, well, what if they take him like far away and I don't ever see him again? Or so you're walking away, and then I'm like, but the show's on, so I'm like getting torn. I want to watch the show, and they're taking like, we got him. There's a tent over there. Come find him in a while. So I go up there, and I'm like feeling guilty, a bit. But then the stage chair clears out, and Bob comes on, and he comes out, and it's dark out, and he's jamming. So I meander around like that Billy Kid in the old Family Circle cartoon.
Yeah.
Where he would go look for something for his dad, but he'd go all around everywhere else. And I find the tent, and I go there, and you're like, hey, Mike, what's up? And I'm like, wait a second. What did they do? You're normal now. And
so what it was is, and at the time, it was actually pretty scary. I had never been dehydrated to the point of passing out and heat stroke or whatever you want to call it, the combination of the two. Having suffered from dehydration before, seriously, it is not the kind of thing to screw with. It can kill you.
Wouldn't recommend it.
Wouldn't recommend it. But so I kind of get with it. They let me in past the fence. I recall her as being an attractive young lady, and they throw a wet towel on me. They hand me a bottle of water, and they put me on a golf cart. And she's, you got to kind of grab onto me and lean to me so you don't fall out. I'm like, okay. And so then she kind of goes behind the stage, and the tent is on the other side. And then after the water and stuff, I was fine. But I didn't know, because I was freaked out, because I'm like going, I don't know, I'm fat, I smoke. I'm like, is this the big one?
Yeah. And I'm thinking in my head going, I'm going to have, and this was before we had our phones had Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly.
How am I going to find all the hospitals in the area and start driving around looking for you? And then you're there, brand new.
Yep.
And we went back and watched the show.
Once again, that one was more of a heat than what I imbibed, but I'm very lucky. Don't screw around with dehydration, and make sure that you're hydrated out in the sun.
Yeah.
And we live in Minnesota, and it can still be bad for you.
For the last 15 years, everybody, you got to hydrate. You got to hydrate. I like to ask people our age, when you were young, did anybody ever tell you to hydrate?
I don't recall it being.
Nobody. That word wasn't even in existence. Nobody. That word wasn't invented yet. They're like, what are you thirsty? Drink some water. Every house has a hose. Yeah. Everybody, go find some water.
This is true. Hydration became a thing.
Well, it's always been a thing, but now it's drink some water.
Now when people realize it can be dangerous for you. So that's what I'm going to open with. What story do you want to go with, my friend?
If we go back to one of the first ones, I'm going to say this involves you. After we stayed out, we talked about a little bit. We stayed out for the tickets. We got the tickets, then they postponed the show, and it was like July 7th, another hot day. We get to Met Stadium. We're tailgating. We get there way early.
Like way early. We're 4 o'clock or whatever's the earliest they would let you in. We were there. It was the afternoon.
Yep. And I remember we were doing our thing, and we were 16, 17 at the time, and we were doing our thing. I remember at one point, we jumped the fence to the Thunderbird Hotel and swam until we got kicked out.
I did not do that. I did not swim. I do remember, because we had talked about it on a prior episode, but we had gone out. It was a winter when the tickets were on sale, and it was one of those stay out all night at the Met Center kind of things, because that's what you did when you were 16 years old in the 80s. Yeah. And it was so cold that I banded the line and went over to, but I did not. I was feeling comfortably numb at that Neil Young show.
We came prepared. We had lawn chairs, and we had the chase lounges.
Yes. And I remember being in a chase lounge. I imbibed. Kids today are not going to understand, but there was the number 714 that was stamped on a pill called a Quaalude.
Synthetic.
And you took that pill in combination with any kind of 6-pack of Special Export, And I was feeling no pain whatsoever at that show. And I'm laying in one of those lounges.
Sleepy.
I was feeling no pain. I was, at the time, about as dedicated a smoker as the world has seen. I'd smoke my cigarettes, and particularly if I was feeling no pain. And somehow I lost control of a cigarette, and it landed on my shirt, and my shirt started on fire, and people started pointing at me, and no words are coming out. And I'm like, they're like, "You're on fire." And I'm like, "Oh."
We were sitting there, you're laying there, and all of a sudden we kind of look over going, Cassie's on fire. Yeah, so then we're like, what do we do? And then we had grabbed our beers. We're pouring our beers on your chest where it was kind of burning. We're like, oh, just pour some beer on them. It'll go out. But you rallied after that.
I did rally. I mean, it wasn't like I think I was the least concerned person for being on fire that existed at the time.
Yeah. And then I remember getting there to the show. We got in, and we had good seats because we waited out in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
Lower level, but 4 or 5 rows up, off to the side. And going down those steps, sometimes it's difficult when you're not when you're sound mind. And one of us, and it wasn't you, it was another one of us that's near and dear to our heart.
Let's just say back
in
the day, there were 3 of us that would hang out, and that would be our third, who were working on getting on the show, people. It's going to be a highlight.
Let's just say, for the sake of being nice, he caught a toe on the way down, which is kind of hard, and a little bit of tuck and roll. But he got up kind of like that, whatever commercial. I'm okay. But then we went to our seats, and then it was a good show. But I think we sobered up because he came with the shocking pinks, and we were all like,
yeah, he did. We've talked about that too. He did a bizarre show because Neil Young is going to be Neil Young, and Neil Young is going to do what Neil Young wants. And
when he did that,
he did half the show as a Neil Young show with all of the songs you wanted to hear, but half the show he was a 50s rockabilly band called the Shocking Pinks.
And we were like,
like it or not, that's what you got. He was his own opening act, and that's how he did it.
We were waiting for that to be over, so I think we collected our thoughts going, when's this going to be over? But that was
a fun show.
That was a fun show. Other accidents, I don't know.
That one. This was my dear friend from law school, who I won't say his name, but he has since passed. We were all going to a show, and at the time, I think we were all working, or it had worked for the poker store, and the poker store was located, the offices were located over right off of Snelling Avenue on 94. Yeah. And so we all meet there, and I don't know who had been the one who bought all the tickets, but did extra tickets. And so my friend Drew, who's not part of kind of friend group of us from high school, he's kind of my friend, he comes along and he brings a coworker of his. And we go there early with that restaurant. We're in that restaurant in the Xcel.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, and so he's eating a meal, but he shares a bottle of wine with her, and he's working game on this young lady he's brought to the show. So I'm talking to him. He's kind of sitting on a different end. I don't know, it's probably a group of 8 of us. We all kind of met at the poker store, and then you drove everyone over in your big old conversion van. And, so we get there, and the show happens. There's an intermission. I kind of lost track of Drew. I'm out smoking a cigarette because I was still a smoker back then. Almost quit by that point, but not quite. This is the early 2000s, and 2006, I'd say. And I'm like on the phone with him saying, "Hey, Drew, where are you, man?" And he's, "Hold on, dude, I'm being handcuffed." I'm like, "What? What?" And the line goes dead. And I'm like, finish my cigarette. I'm like going, if a friend of mine said he was being handcuffed, what part of the building would they be taken to?
Yeah.
Go to that. Like, yeah, actually, he's at the medical. And apparently what had happened is he's diabetic and let his blood sugar go way out of whack. And then someone grabbed him from behind, and he just reacted by throwing his arm back. And it was a paramedic who was checking it on him. So at that point, they cuffed him. But he did survive. But as Mike Hammer knows, because he's known me my whole life, I'm not a big fan of driving, not a big fan of driving at night, not a big fan of change, not a big fan of driving big vans I've never driven before. And so my friend, he's at the medical area, so we got to get the van. So Mike and I are going to get the van, and then my friend Mike says, "You know what, Carlos, I'm in no condition to drive. You're going to have to drive the van." And I'm like, well, that adds to my anxiety. Okay, so I'm going to have to drive this big van I'm not used to driving. I'm going to have to drive it as a salmon upstream, going towards the Xcel as everyone is leaving the Xcel. But I get it up there. We get Drew. Everyone survives. I take him home. I make sure that he doesn't end up in a diabetic coma, and it was all good. But that was an interesting night, and I forgive him because I love him and I miss him. But he made me miss Night Moves, which is my favorite rock and roll song of all time that night.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, sometimes back in the day we went to shows without a good exit plan.
Yeah, I don't think that we thought at that stage, and this was one when we were adults and should know better, and he should have known better. But back I don't necessarily know that we thought things through at all.
No, no. Another
I
one.
think I always had a how am I going to get home kind of a thing because I never wanted to be the driver. I ended up driving a lot because I was not, I was more a fan of herbs than I was of hops.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I was not, so I was typically not, I'll hit the explicit button. I usually wasn't shit faced drunk.
Liquored up.
I was not liquored up.
Or as my grandma's era, they called tight.
Really?
That was an expression back then. Oh, your grandpa's tight. I'm like, oh, what the hell does that mean?
To me, I would assume two things. One, that he didn't spend money.
Yes.
Or that was an expression that was used when we were in high school to mean something different too. But I'd never heard it in terms of being a drinker. So that's good. Interesting.
No, I did look it up once, and yes, that was a phrase for people, and I think it might have gotten big during Prohibition.
You know
when
what?
they didn't want to they didn't want to throw anybody under the bus.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So there's one that I want to kind of get out of you because you started to tell it to me, and you were really trying to protect the innocent. So we can do it by protecting the innocent, but I believed it involved some kind of like a festival or something that you went to, and I believe there were injuries that were sustained. Are you able to tell that one, or do you even know what I'm talking about?
Refresh it a little bit more because there's been a few, but
so no, there's one you were just telling, and you just as you were. I never heard the whole story because you were laughing as you were trying to tell it, and we didn't say it on the air, but it was the last time we were going to talk concert injuries, and you kind of censored yourself, going, "I got to figure out how to tell it while protecting the innocent or not so innocent."
Yeah, I wonder what that one was because the one I like to tell a lot is back when we were in high school and we got in a van, and drove a long ways. Was it that one?
No, help me out.
So out of the blue, and this is we were just out of high school, 85, 86, and somehow somebody heard that Neil Young was playing up in Perham, Minnesota.
Okay, see, I was not part of that trip, so.
No, and like 5, 6 o'clock, I don't know how back then how you communicated with people. Obviously, we were just conveniently by a telephone connected to a wall at home or whatever, and me and Kenny and Brian and Smitty got in the day back. They had the Northwestern Bell vans, but they'd sell them off on a commission. Awesome. And we drove to Perm. And we didn't know. We had to try to figure out where the hell Perm is, and then how do you go? Okay, north by northwest. Start going, and
we got there. Where you were going to stay? Do you have camping gear?
We got in the car and went.
All right,
and got some refreshments and started driving. And his van had a little table in the middle and the couches around. It was like a shaggy burnt orange carpeting all up the sides. And we get there and it's a corral. It's a big corral type venue. And we don't have tickets. We don't know you can't look on your phone where the ticket office is or whatever. So we all get out of the van. We're like, all right, let's just meet inside. And Scotty Kluklik was with us too. And two people went off one way. Kenny was sitting there walking. All of a sudden, like an ambulance is going in slowly with a bunch of medical personnel and police. And we just walked next to him like we were part of the group, and we walked right in. A couple of them scaled that 10-foot high picket corral type fence, wooden fence. Yeah. And I don't know, somehow we met in there, and then then we lost each other. All I remember is it was a cool show. It was windy. It was fall. You didn't need a fan in front of him. Neil didn't because he was just going at it. And somehow we all met up at the van on the way back.
We did it without cell phones.
Where is everybody? I don't know. So we met up and we started driving. And once again, didn't think about the right way to get home. And at one point, we all kind of woke up and the van wasn't moving, and we were in a rest area. And the driver, I won't name his name, but said, "I got tired," and it said a rest area. So this is an area of rest.
Yes, I need a rest.
And we all,
I think I could argue in court with a straight face that argument.
That's what we did. We rested. We were being responsible and resting.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one was fun. That one was a good time. Oh, it just seems like sometimes it's the survival mode when you're there. You're like, you put yourself into these situations where it's like, okay, we got to survive this one. And you're like, on the onset, when it was first announced, you're like, yeah, we're going to go have a good time. And sometimes halfway through, when you finally get there, you're like, we got to make a break for it. But I would say later in life, you kind of remember maybe staying.
Here's an injury, not an injury one, but I'll call it, it's a concert story. It was one where it's probably one of the best shows. You and I were talking about it before we started recording, but a friend of your ex-wife who became part of our friend group had a deal with her employer, and she could always get good tickets for shows like at the Xcel. So McCartney comes to town. It's like going, yeah, you're going, this and that. You talk Chuck and I into going, and that's
back real quick. We got tickets the night before was the Who.
Yeah.
And the second night was Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to go see the Who. And we were going to go. And I drew the short straw, I think. Well, I didn't get a chance to draw. Yeah. It was just what was left over. Yeah. So I remember calling you guys up going, you want to go? And you're like, And in my mind, I'm like, this is a date concert. Yeah. Not a couple buddies going to see a show, but go on.
Oh, but it was one of the best shows I've seen in my life. I can make an argument.
Maybe Back in the USA was the tour.
But listening to McCartney sing in Long and Winding Road gave me chills. It's like I am hearing the greatest of the great right now, and still sounded amazing.
This is early 2000s. Yeah. And big screens behind him were just coming out, behind the performers. So we're watching that, and he did a tribute to John, to his wife Linda's. Yeah. Just had passed wife Linda. Yep. I don't know if George Harrison, I think he might have been gone too. I think George Harrison had passed, and it was just him and Ringo, but Ringo wasn't with him. But yeah, it reminded me of somebody back when people had parlors in their house. Yeah. And like a big dining room or a big living room area. It was like he was singing to us in a big parlor, and it was like clear. You could hear every word. It was phenomenal. And I just saw him a couple of years ago when he came back to town, or a year and a half ago. And then I went to Denver and watched him again, and it was just as amazing. He sang for like
an elite star. But
30 songs.
My story. So afterwards, I am going to drive our friend, we'll call him the Man in Black, home.
Yeah.
And we parked in one of those ramps down West 7th. I don't know. We couldn't find the car. So we spend a good half hour walking through ramps, and we find the car.
A good Seinfeld episode.
Yeah. And so then we go, and they're like going, I don't know. Back then, I used to love kind of post bar closing, hitting the Perkins or the Embers at 1 a.m. It was always fun. So we hit an Embers going to Bloomington. I had never been to this Embers before, but the bathrooms, the men's rooms, are one floor below, right? The Man in Black and I are there, and we order, and he goes, I got to go to the bathroom. And so it's come, then the food comes, and I start eating, and I'm like, it's been a long time. So I'm going to go look for him. And so I go downstairs, and he is in the bathroom at the urinal, but he's leaning in with his head on the wall asleep. And I'm like, buddy, your food's going to get cold. He's, oh, yeah, okay.
That's the beginning of micro napping.
That is a true story. Not an injury, but definitely something that will hold over him forever.
Yeah, not too long ago, a couple of years ago, another fun. No one got hurt, but it was one of those survival ones. I went to see my girlfriend Annie in Denver, and we went to the Stones show at, no, it's not Mile High Stadium, but it's their new stadium in Denver. Yep. And we were about 7 miles from where she lived, and afterwards, and that was more of a herb, not hops type show.
Yeah.
And the scooters, the birds, you can rent the limes. So we were going to take the limes back, birds back, and I remember going, because there's a river that kind of winds, and there's a path down there, and
But you're like going to do 7 miles.
7 miles, yeah. It was like cabs were hard to find, Ubers were Ubers, and we just see some of those, we jump on them, and hers is faster. Some of them are
just yesterday I was driving and there was a kid on the sidewalk in my neighborhood, and that thing was hauling ass.
Like, they do 20, 25.
Green ones go that fast? Holy cow.
I haven't timed it, but it seems like maybe 20, 25 miles an hour.
Pretty fast without any, I don't know how they're in business from lawsuits.
If the governor's off. But so she gets one and and she takes off, and I'm trying to follow, and I'm not catching up. And I'm like, oh, this river path leads us to where we got to go. But there are some people that don't have real houses that lay on this path or under the bridges or whatever, and you're passing them and you're dodging those. And that was one of those, just let's stay upright. Yeah. Let's just keep on going. I hope I don't run out of battery.
Now, here's the question I have for you. Since some of these stories are from before our prefrontal cortexes were developed, and the story about the scooter is about one when you are a fully developed adult human with a fully developed brain. Was there at any point when you're going, what was I thinking? This was not the smartest idea? Or it's like, nope, you know what? We're doing it.
Mostly I still have that. Let's do it. All right. Let's go.
All right. I would not have enjoyed my ride because I'd have been thinking this was really not a smart move.
Let's just say that your perspective changes when you arrive to your destination.
Yeah, well, and you're kind of like, it's cheap and convenient.
I did that. I did it. I made it. Yes. That was like a Tough Mudders, a survival. I was on the Survivor show.
Sam and I were in Kansas City to see the Twins. I don't know, like 5 years back when the Twins were really good. They won 100 games. We were there for the last series of the weekend of the series. And so one of the places we stopped, as you do in Kansas City, was at the Negro League Museum. But we got there early, I think, and they had some limes there. And Pam's like, oh, let's go. Let's cruise around on those for a while. And I'm like, why do you want our Kansas City story to end with me in the ER? Have we not had enough fun? Do we not have enough good stories to tell from this trip?
I'm surprised. Yeah, those things can move. And it's just when you go down, there's cement. I remember when we were skateboarding when we were young, and you wipe out. That's concrete isn't any softer now than it was then.
You having taken down a motorcycle at highway speed, I will not whine, but I had a lot of road burns from falling off my bike as a kid. I did it compared to what you've experienced, but
I did it a couple times. And the other time, it wasn't very smart, but let's just say it wasn't a very smart state of mind. And on a clover leaf, it was a good dear friend on the back, and we kind of went down on the side. So we were sliding and getting up, putting the bike up, got back home and pulled out all the cotton swabs and rubbing alcohol and isopropyl that we could to clean our wounds. And I remember Judy, dearest, came down and looked at us in the mess of all the bloody cotton swabs. She goes, I don't think I'm going to ask. And we're like, probably a good idea. But better than the idea of what we had trying to get home. But
Michael, you know what? It's been a while since we've been on the bench. This was fun. We still are going to go out to the park. That's going to happen soon. And we're lining up some former St. Louis Park High School alum to be interviewed. Please send Mike or I a message. Respond with a comment to the podcast if you would like to be on. We really are going to try to have a guest an episode or guest interviews happening regularly because, once again, we realize that this podcast has been very much oriented to people that went to high school in St. Louis Park in the 80s and grew up on our side of town. And I want to hear about folks that were there in the
40s. And we keep hearing about people coming out of the woodworks listening or dropping us lines.
We've been getting some great
and names.
Tell everybody's stories. We don't want to just tell our own stories.
And names we haven't heard of in a while or didn't. It was interesting. But one of the benches, we will do it maybe at the dog park.
That you know what I really feel like, because right now this was in the pre-show, didn't make it on, but how many dogs are you tending to right now?
I got 4 here right now, and they range from 120 pounds down to 30 pounds. And feeding time's always a frenzy, but
they like the dog park.
When we go to the dog park, we usually double the population there, and everybody goes, "That's a lot of dogs," and I'm like, I don't know. One dog, 2 dogs.
Can you throw a Michael Scott when someone says that? It's a lot of dogs. That's what she says?
That's what she said. That's what she said. Or 1 dog, 4 dogs. What does it take?
You got to hold the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
And the number of dogs you have fighting. But I say, having 4 isn't that much harder than 1. You just have to hold the door a little bit longer to let all the damn dogs back in. And you got more. You don't just have one water dish bowl. You got a couple water bowls. Well, you got a couple. And
do you at least subscribe to the Doggy Do service, or are you having to handle all of that? And how green is your garden, for Christ's sake?
That becomes not a once a week chore. It becomes almost every day. And I remember when we were young, we didn't all have doggy bags, poop bags. So now you can get them like, oh, you're watching, you're like, might as well pick that up right now. Yep. And in the hot summer, people, I don't know too much information, but the garbage stinks more. But
everything stinks.
Dogs are great. Dogs are the salt.
Dogs are the best. But with that, Mike Hammer, I think that we can bring this episode to a conclusion. So with that said, Hammer,
let's rock on. Let's rock on.
Rock on.
And
Mike, in the rock and roll adventure.
And we can see rock on and drop the mic and
Carlos and Hammer out.
Out.
Watching all